OpenAI just made something crazy free. GPT 5.5 is rolling out to all ChatGPT users at no cost, and it's fundamentally better at one thing: understanding what you actually mean. Not just the words you type right now, but the entire conversation before it, the context you're implying, the connections only you can see. Most AI tools lose the thread after a few messages. They forget what you said 5 turns ago. They need you to repeat yourself. GPT 5.5 doesn't. It holds the entire context like a human conversation partner, tracking every detail, every assumption, every change in your thinking. And here's the kicker. This is a problem OpenAI spent years trying to solve. Context windows, that's the technical term for how much conversation history an AI can remember at once, used to be a hard limit. GPT-4 could hold maybe 8,000 words before forgetting, then they got to 32,000, then 128,000. But remembering text and actually understanding it are two different things. A model can see 128,000 words and still miss what matters. GPT 5.5 changes that. It doesn't just see the history, it understands which parts actually matter to your question. And it's instantly available to millions of people. This is a change that's going to reshape how people work with AI, how businesses use these tools, and honestly how competitors have to respond. And here's where it gets interesting. Understand why this matters. You need to know what context understanding actually means for an AI. Picture trying to write a novel where you can only see the last paragraph. You've got words in front of you, but you've lost the plot threads, character arcs, and emotional beats from the chapters before. That's been the problem with AI models. They can see more text than any human ever could. GPT-4 could handle the equivalent of an entire technical book in one conversation. But here's what most people don't realize. Reading 128,000 words of context is not the same as understanding them. An AI model can technically see all that history, but it treats every sentence almost equally. If you asked a question on message number 50, GPT-4 might weight a random detail from message number 1 the same way it weights something from message number 49. A human brain would never work that way. We instinctively filter. We focus on what's relevant. We understand that some details matter more than others depending on where the conversation is heading. For years, this was a ceiling that nobody could break through. Bigger context windows helped, sure, but the core problem remained. Until now. Here's what the headlines aren't telling you. So what changed with GPT 5.5? OpenAI fundamentally rewired how the model weights context. Think of it like upgrading from a librarian who can see all 128,000 books on the shelf to a librarian who actually understands which books matter for what you're asking. The technical term is attention mechanism. It's the part of the AI that decides what to focus on. GPT 5.5's attention mechanism is dramatically better at filtering. It doesn't just see the context, it understands semantic relevance. That's a fancy way of saying it grasps meaning, not just word patterns. If you mentioned your team is burned out in message 5 and then asked about project timelines in message 87, GPT 5.5 connects those dots automatically. It knows the burnout context matters to your timeline question, even though they are 82 messages apart. The model was trained on a completely new dataset that emphasized this kind of deep contextual reasoning. It's not just bigger, it's smarter about what it's looking at. OpenAI claims the improvement is substantial enough that users will notice immediately. And because it's deployed as GPT 5.5 free, everyone has access today. No payment wall. No waiting list. That's significant because this level of context comprehension used to be locked behind premium models. Now it's democratized. But wait, there's something nobody's talking about. Let's make this concrete with some real examples. Imagine you're a marketer building a campaign strategy. You describe your audience demographics in message 2. You talk about your product positioning in message 8. You discuss seasonal trends in message 25. Then in message 140, you ask for creative direction. Old ChatGPT might forget half of that context. GPT 5.5 remembers it all and weights it correctly, understanding that the seasonal trend matters as much as the positioning when formulating creative direction. Software engineers see similar gains. You share a code-based structure in message 3. You paste snippets and ask questions about edge cases across 20 messages. Then you ask about performance optimization in message 56. GPT 5.5 remembers the structure, grasps how it relates to your specific implementation, and gives you advice tailored to your actual codebase instead of generic optimization tips. Writers and researchers report even bigger wins. You might be researching a topic, going back and forth with the AI, building on ideas across dozens of messages. The AI needs to understand not just what you've said, but the conceptual arc of your research. GPT 5.5 does that. Researchers say the quality improvement is immediate. The model feels less like it's guessing your intent and more like it actually understands the thread of your thinking. And that's just the beginning. So how does this stack up against competitors? Google's Gemini has been working on similar context improvements with its Gemini 2.0 release. Claude, Anthropic's model, has built its reputation partly on strong contextual reasoning. But here's what makes the OpenAI move significant. It's free and it's immediate. You don't have to pay extra. You don't have to sign up for a waiting list. You don't have to upgrade to a premium tier. Everyone with ChatGPT access gets GPT 5.5 today. That's a huge competitive pressure point. Microsoft, who's been bundling OpenAI's models into everything from Copilot to Office, now has access to dramatically better context handling at zero additional cost. They can bake this into Windows, into Word, into Excel without any licensing changes. For competitors like Google and Anthropic, this raises the bar immediately. Google would need to match this capability fast or risk losing users who suddenly realize they are dealing with a noticeably better conversation partner. The market impact is asymmetric. OpenAI gets users who try the free version and then stay because the quality is better. In terms of raw capability, this isn't revolutionary. Nobody's claiming GPT 5.5 is radically smarter overall. But in one specific dimension that matters daily to millions of people, actually remembering and understanding long conversations, it's a meaningful upgrade. Now here's where the real story starts. What are the real implications of free, better context understanding in ChatGPT? First, knowledge work fundamentally changes. Right now, working with ChatGPT means constantly reframing your questions, resetting context, copy-pasting snippets multiple times. It's clunky. GPT 5.5 smooths that friction. A lawyer can build a complex argument across 50 messages without needing to re-explain the case context every few turns. A data analyst can iterate on exploratory analysis without restating assumptions constantly. That's not revolutionary. It's incremental, but incremental gains compound into real productivity wins. Second, this pulls more users into serious AI work. People who wrote off ChatGPT because it felt limiting will try it again. They'll realize it actually understands them now. That expands the addressable market for AI-powered products and services. Third, it creates competitive pressure on any company selling context-heavy AI features. Consultancies selling AI implementation get harder to justify if the free tool does half of it. Tools built on top of ChatGPT get more powerful automatically. And fourth, for OpenAI specifically, this is a defensibility move. By getting context understanding right at the free tier, OpenAI makes the free product more sticky. Users who get real value from GPT 5.5 are less likely to switch to a competitor's paid model. They're more likely to eventually upgrade to GPT 5.5 Pro or GPT 5.5 Team. And this is where things get surprising. So how do you actually get GPT 5.5? Here's the simple version. If you're already using ChatGPT, it's already there. Go to ChatGPT right now and start a conversation. You're using GPT 5.5, no upgrade needed, no special setting to toggle. For ChatGPT Plus subscribers, the folks paying monthly, you'll see GPT 5.5 available as a model choice alongside other options like GPT-4. For free tier users, the rollout is progressive but wide. OpenAI's prioritizing active users globally, so if you use ChatGPT regularly, you'll have access soon. If you have access and want to feel the difference, try something deliberate. Start a conversation about a complex topic, something with multiple threads. Build it across 10 to 20 messages. Then ask a question that depends on earlier context. with GPT-5.5. You'll notice the model references things accurately from the beginning of the thread. It connects the dots. It asks clarifying questions that show it actually understands where you're going. For teams and enterprises, there's GPT-5.5 Team, a workspace version with higher usage limits. It's the same context understanding engine, but with collaboration features and team admin controls. The practical takeaway: if you work with text, writing, coding, research, analysis, thinking, GPT-5.5 should feel noticeably better than what you were using before. The part most people overlook entirely. So here's what this means for you. OpenAI just shipped something genuinely useful that's available to everyone immediately. No payment wall, no waiting. That's increasingly rare in the AI space. Most improvements are locked behind premium tiers or waiting lists. But more importantly, this is a signal about where the real competition in AI is heading. It's not about raw intelligence anymore. It's about understanding what people actually mean. It's about handling the messy, complex, real-world context that characterizes how humans actually think and work. For years, bigger models and bigger training runs were the obvious direction. Moore's law for AI, right? But GPT-5.5 shows the industry is pivoting towards something subtler: better understanding, smarter filtering, deeper comprehension of what matters. That's a change that favors companies like OpenAI that have the scale and sophistication to pull it off. For you, the practical takeaway is this: if you've ever felt limited by ChatGPT's ability to track long conversations, try it again. It's worth revisiting. And if you're building tools that sit on top of ChatGPT or similar APIs, you just inherited a more capable foundation. You could do better things now. The technology is moving fast. Context understanding just got better for free, and we are still in the early innings of what that enables. Follow for daily AI news, and you won't miss the next move in this game.